Hey guys, it's Simmy, and this is Wrestling Unlimited, as it's Friday and we're finally live. I wanted to go live at 11, 2 hours ago, but it's raining like cats and dogs outside. It's super windy. Internet's been knocking in and out. So hopefully, if you're watching live, internet stays good. Internet stays clean. And we don't get any problems anymore. It's been good for the last 30 minutes. So I was like, you know what? Been good for 30 minutes. I think we're going to be good. So we're live. Twitch, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited. YouTube, youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. And again, hopefully everything stays on. With that, we got a lot to talk about today. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 stories to talk to you guys about today. Yeah, we got a big one. We got a big one today. This one's loaded. There's a lot of news out today. We're going to talk about the Elite's current contract status. We're going to talk about one WWE superstar who is said to be on a hiatus. WWE working on putting together another international event, and so much more, because this is the Wrestling Wrap-Up. Usually Mondays and Fridays between 11 and 11:30 a.m. Pacific, we bring you all the latest news in professional wrestling that you may not have heard about. It's one easy-to-watch video with a bunch of different news. Or, as I say, it's a handful of stories in one easy-to-watch video. But with that, you can help us out a couple of different ways. If you're watching live, you can help us out on Twitch if you hit that donate button down below, or donate Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel one of two different ways. You can either subscribe with a tiered subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime. Because remember, if you have Amazon Prime or access to anybody's Amazon Prime account, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and it always gives you one free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to support throughout the month, and I'd greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember, over on YouTube, you can support us over there by becoming a channel member. As a channel member, you get early access to news, early access podcast episodes, early access non-news videos, and so much more. And finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming one of the free games or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, Fall Guys, or Rumbleverse, use this code right here, PW Unlimited, at checkout, and you can be supporting us at no extra cost. Right now, the Epic Game Store is running their end of winter sale with things all the way up to 75% off. So if you're buying something on that sale, put in this code, PWU NLIMITED. Or if you're claiming the free game, Call of the Sea. Or new season of Fortnite just dropped today. Chapter 4, Season 2, Mega. If you're getting that Battle Pass, use this code when you get the Battle Pass. Again, use this code when you get the Battle Pass for Fortnite Chapter 4, Season 2, that just dropped this morning. Again, code PWU NLIMITED for all Epic Games and Epic Game Store purchases. We're also sponsored by Ultra Pro Wrestling, but we'll talk about that later. As far as the first story does go, and no, I know Fortnite updated. My computer keeps trying to tell me, your Fortnite's been updated. Play. And I'm like, what? I don't want to play. Anyways, first news story we do have to talk about today, it has to do with, well, the Elite, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. AEW is said to be working on signing the Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks to new long-term deals before they hit free agency. Dave Meltzer wrote about this in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter. He stated that all three men are founding members of AEW and also hold executive vice president roles within the company. And I left my drink in the other room. Good thing I have a bottle of water here. In January, Meltzer did state that AEW was interested in re-signing both Matt and Nick Jackson to new deals, but the process had yet to begin. In late February, Meltzer reported that Omega's contract, which was set to expire at the end of January, may be extended for an unknown amount of time, possibly up to 8 to 9 months for the time he missed due to injury. Meltzer did write, quote, "With the Bucks, while they may do well in WWE, it's not guaranteed. And they will have a better schedule in AEW, meaning more time with the family and also less matches, and can do their style. With Omega, he doesn't have kids, and he would likely get a major push. and would have no end to having fresh opponents. It would also close the door to Japan that he waited years to reopen. But he did at least consider and have talks with WWE back in 2018, 2019, and wasn't negative about WWE at all while making his choice on going to AEW. Tony Khan did say that he hoped Omega would remain with the company for a long time to come. So there we go. AEW, one of their main goals right now is to re-sign the Elite and keep them within the fold. Now, it hasn't been officially stated if Tony has actually added that extra time to Kenny's contract due to the injury that he was out with last year, but it's almost expected because in the contracts for AEW wrestlers, just like with WWE, it says if you miss time, an extended period of time out due to an injury, that extended period of time could be added on to the back end of your contract. So someone who misses 4 or 5 weeks, like we're going to talk about with Kofi Kingston later, maybe they don't re-add that to the contract. But if somebody misses 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months, yeah, they may want to re-add that to the contract, as we've seen WWE do many, many times. So, according to this new report from Dave Meltzer, which just kind of doesn't come as a surprise to anybody, AEW is trying to work on getting some long-term deals put in place for the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. We heard that Omega's deal could have already been up, and if not for the injury time, he would be a free agent already. With the Young Bucks, it's a little more iffy. Some say that their contracts did come up in January, but others are saying next January. So we'll keep this story on the back of our minds and keep you guys updated if we do hear anything further. As we move forward, Dylan's got a great question here in the Twitch chat. He says, will they do that to Randy Orton's contract? There's a very good chance. I don't know if they will, because we don't know the severity of Randy's injuries. We don't know the condition of Randy right now. How long has Randy been out as far as when they said, you can't work, you can work, this, that. So with everything being so secretive, I would say, with Randy Orton's injury, I couldn't say 100% yes, they're going to add the time to Randy's injury, which Randy's been out May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. Randy's been out for like 10 months. 9, 10 months. So, it's been a long time. But speaking of somebody that's on their way out of AEW, that's Vicky Guerrero. Because apparently Vicky was told, stay home. Vicky Guerrero sent out an interesting tweet to let the fans know that she won't be with Nyla Rose tonight on AEW Rampage when she takes on Riho. As previously reported last month, Guerrero will be leaving AEW in a few months after joining the company back in 2020 when her contract does expire here soon. Guerrero and All Elite Wrestling reportedly mutually decided to not renew her contract, which comes up in July, as Guerrero has actually got some other opportunities coming her way outside of wrestling that she's going to look into, I guess you could say. But Vicky did send out the following tweet stating, quote, let's pull that up on the screen for you guys. Vicky did state, let's zoom in on that just so you can see it a little better. At AEW requested me to stay home. Oh, wait, you don't see it. At AEW requested me to stay home, and I am not at events. I have no doubt that the vicious vixen Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir will have the fans witness a destructive match against Riho. So there we go. Vicky Guerrero is no longer on the road with AEW. We don't know how long she's been off the road. I can tell you for sure that she was on the road back in February when AEW came here to Fresno, because when they opened the doors to let people in, she was in the lobby signing autographs. So she was doing a little meet and greet for anybody that was there on, February 18th. She was signing autographs and stuff. So she was there in January, January 18th. She was around in January, but she's not around anymore. As we move on to our final AEW story, well, sort of final AEW story, we do have some more news on the buy rate for AEW Revolution. According to a new report from Dave Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, Meltzer states that the AEW Revolution 2023 event drew between 120 and 129,000 buys. Though Meltzer notes, quote, The number will probably be just slightly under, a little under 130,000 with late buys. Now, in reference, AEW Revolution 2023, which was headlined by Hangman Page defending the AEW World Championship against Adam Cole and featured the dog collar match with CM Punk and MJF, plus Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley, did draw 165,000 to 173,000 buys. So it was right in that range, 165 to 173. I think it was like 165 night of, 173 after late buys. Also, last year's AEW Full Gear in November, which saw MJF challenge Jon Moxley for the world title, did do 140,000 buys. So this show was down. I will say that right now. This show was down as far as people buying the show on pay-per-view and Bleacher Report and so forth. And we're not sure exactly where all these numbers come from, all these metrics, because there's pay-per-view.com. There's Bleacher Report. There's traditional pay-per-view. Then we have internationally, we've got Fight TV. I think Sky had it. Sky Box Office may have had it as well. So we don't know exactly where all these metrics are coming from and all these numbers are getting tallied from. But it does look like they only did shy of 130,000, which is 30,000, at least 35,000 down from last year. And about 10,000, give or take, down from the last pay-per-view they had in Full Gear. So, unfortunately, there wasn't as much fan interest, it seems like, in this show this year. Now, when we talk about AEW, they're always bringing in new people. And it looks like somebody else might be coming into AEW, but this person may also have interest to go to WWE, as Dave Meltzer states that Taya Valkyrie is no longer with Impact Wrestling and could be making her next decision sometime soon. Taya Valkyrie could be joining either AEW or WWE. Dave Meltzer reported in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter that Valkyrie is likely to go to either AEW or WWE. Whichever promotion her next destination is, it's supposed to be made clear within the short period of time. Meltzer wrote, Valkyrie finished up with Impact as she was working with both companies, Impact and MLW, on an occasion and on an occasion AAA, where she still holds the Reina de Reinas Championship. She is not committed to MLW for a long term either. She is likely going to AEW or WWE, and whichever one is supposed to be made, it is supposed to be made clear within a short period of time. So again, Taya could go back to WWE. Then we'd get Frankie Monet back. Maybe they let her keep the Taya name. I don't know, with Triple H in charge. Maybe she goes to AEW. Now, AEW is teasing a Canadian female to face Jade next week. But I don't see Jade losing. So I don't think they would bring in Taya for her to lose in her first match. Unless maybe they are very, very high on Taya, and they have Taya come in and be the one to beat Jade for the belt. I don't see that. I don't see a newcomer beating Jade for the belt. I think it's going to be somebody like a Chris Statlander, who's been there for a long time, who's established with these fans, and these fans would love to see beat Jade. Nothing against Taya. I think Taya is great and one of the best female wrestlers in the world, but I think that would come off a little cold having Taya come in and beat Jade immediately for the belt. I just feel like this fan base won't be super receptive for it because Taya is a quote-unquote newcomer. And the whole storyline of outsiders and OGs and newcomers and this going on in AEW's women's division right now. So it's unclear exactly how short of a time period it's going to be before we know where Frankie Monet, or former Frankie Monet, Taya Valkyrie is going. Maybe she's going to be Taya in AEW. Maybe she goes back to WWE as Frankie Monet. We'll have to wait and see. But I think if she goes back to WWE, the best thing they can do is bring her and Johnny in together on the main roster. And I'm going to fantasy book it right now. They're cool with Miz for a little bit. Maybe a few weeks, a few months. Maybe not even a few months. But they're cool with Miz. They make Miz think they're friends, they're buds, they're pals. And then Johnny turns on Miz because Miz wasn't there for Johnny when Johnny got fired. When Johnny got released, again, Miz stayed with his WWE family and left Johnny on the wayside. Then that could lead to Maurice coming in and we get in a mixed tag. Miz and Maurice against Johnny and Taya, or Johnny and Frankie, whatever name she's going by. That's how I would fantasy book it. That's how I would fantasy book their inception back into WWE. If Johnny's even coming too. And we don't even know she's coming. But there's interest. And I would assume if there's interest in her, then there might be interest in him as well. Again, not as Miz and Morrison together as a team, but Miz and Taya, or Morrison and Taya together, feuding with Miz and eventually Miz and Maurice to reintroduce them. I do want to say thank you to Clayton Williams for the super chat donation. He says, a big supporter. Really do appreciate that one. Thank you, guy. So we'll see when Taya does come, where Taya makes her decision. Now, another thing that apparently needs to get announced and decided on and made quickly in WWE is what the hell's going on with the Hall of Fame. And according to WrestleVotes, we got a pretty big update as far as Hall of Fame names and announcements do go, as WrestleVotes tweets, quote, the plan as of Monday was to begin announcing this year's Hall of Fame induction class today. The annual Hall of Fame ceremony is 3 weeks from tonight in Los Angeles following SmackDown. So it looks like we could get the first name for the 2023 Hall of Fame class tonight on SmackDown. I haven't seen anything on social media from WWE hyping this up or teasing it or anything, so it's going to be a big surprise. But the one name that's been floated around the most is Dave Bautista as the headliner. So one would think that we get that announcement tonight, most likely. Not saying it's going to happen for sure, but WrestleVotes is normally not wrong. So I would be in line to believe WrestleVotes when they say, hey, this might be happening today, or this is being talked about, or this could be going down. So keep an eye out on SmackDown tonight, as we could be getting the first announcement for the Hall of Fame class of 2023 tonight. Now, as far as tonight's SmackDown does go, there's a 5-man match. There's a fatal 5-way, I guess you'd call it. And Kofi Kingston was originally supposed to be in this match, vying for the shot at the Intercontinental Championship. Last night, we did learn that Kofi is out. Xavier Woods in his place. Woods showed his gratitude for being put in the match and said, I've never had an opportunity to fight for a title other than once before, and this and that, and da-da-da-da-da. And now we know exactly how long WWE is expecting Kofi to be out of action, as Dave Meltzer wrote the following in this week's Wrestling Observer radio or newsletter. Kofi Kingston suffered an ankle injury when McIntyre did a running flip dive on several people. It was just a fluke deal. The time frame we are hearing is 5 weeks. There are concerns earlier that it could be longer because he may need to have surgery, and if he does need surgery, it would be a lengthy injury. But all impressions are based on what he said publicly, and the word privately is that he won't be needing the surgery right now. So if Kofi doesn't actually need ankle surgery, he's good to go in 5 weeks. I don't know if that's 5 weeks from today or 5 weeks from last week, but regardless, if there were any plans for the New Day at Mania, they're done now. They're kiboshed. They're gone. Because Kofi is not going to be back till after WrestleMania. WrestleMania is in 3 weeks. He's going to be out for at least 5. So, yeah. 2 or 3 weeks after Mania is when he will be returning from injury. It's unfortunate to see. It's unfortunate to hear, especially at this time of the year for a WWE superstar to face an injury like this that's going to keep him out for multiple weeks, months on end. And so Xavier Woods will be in the Fatal 5-Way tonight. Don't expect him to win. And we don't even know if Kofi's going to be there with him by his side. I don't expect Kofi to be at the show because you wouldn't want him to travel and put any extra stress on the ankle. Just keep it elevated, keep it up, keep it by that pool he posted a video of, and get better. So Kofi, one of the best to ever do it in WWE, as far as this generation goes for sure. Get back soon. Get back. And give me 1 second, guys. I'm getting a message I need to check. This might be important. Okay. I guess I could just say this. The Hall of Fame announcement tonight, maybe for the Great Muta. Batista may not be... So Batista's still earmarked for the Hall of Fame. The first announcement may be Muta. What I just got a message about. Great Muda. Keiji Muto, the first one announced. But Batista is still in line to be in this year's class. Now, speaking of injuries, we do have to talk about Ronda Rousey and what's going on with her current injury, as it looks like maybe or maybe not it's going to keep her out of Mania. But according to a new report initially it was reported by PW Torch that Rousey was dealing with a legitimate injury that is actually a re-aggravation of an old injury. She was not expected to miss too much time and was said to be good to go for WrestleMania. Now, according to a new report from Mike Johnson over at PW Insider, he states that Rousey is actually dealing with a hairline fracture in her arm. The report also states that there are no discussions about Rousey missing WrestleMania. So that's good to hear that they don't think this is going to keep her out of WrestleMania. The word is that she will be still challenging for the tag titles, even though the tag team champions are in the 6-woman tag. So it looks like tag champions could be working double duty. But Ronda is dealing with a hairline fracture in her arm. And discussions are internally that she is not expected to miss anything over WrestleMania weekend. Now, Kofi's out. Ronda's injured. And there's somebody else that's been missing for a while. And that's, well, Alexa Bliss. And it sounds like Alexa Bliss may or may not be on a hiatus. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, he does state that Bliss is on another hiatus for a while. Bliss recently reacted to an incorrect trivia question during a Knicks game where she took issue with her omission, and she also took issue with an omission of her being not on the poster for Women's History Month and this and that, and she's very upset with the company right now. And it sounds like she's not on a hiatus by her choosing, but she may be on a hiatus of their choosing, as they are not calling her, as they are not booking her, as they, WWE, are not using her right now. So, not 100% sure what's going on with Alexa Bliss, but as of right now, she is not being used, and internally is being called a, quote, hiatus. Quote, hiatus. Now, one person that we heard was supposed to get a big major push in WWE was Gable Steveson. And a lot of things are kind of up in the air right now with Gable Steveson because he wants to do the Olympics next year and so forth. And he kind of has been training for WWE, but we've heard that that's kind of here or there. And so we do have a new update, as Dave Meltzer wrote the following in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter. Gable Steveson has yet to debut for WWE when the original plans were for him to debut with a monster push on Raw starting at the 2022 WrestleMania. He is now talking about going back to amateur wrestling and trying to win the gold medal again at the 2024 Olympics. And Steveson did actually state that that's his plan, that he wants to do the Paris Olympics and try to win the gold medal again. While speaking with MMA Fighting, he did state, "I know the Olympics are next year, and I hope to be part of that and keep moving forward and keep winning big titles for the U.S. also. I would love a second run. I feel I have a lot more left in the tank to showcase. I want to provide USA right and keep moving forward overall and become one of the best American amateur wrestlers ever. And I hope I can achieve the Bruce Bumgarner status of having a bunch of medals and having the accolades to show and be part of WWE and be an entertainer too." So he's saying it. He wants to go do them Olympics next year. And if that's his goal, he's training for him now. Training for him now, probably, not WWE. So we'll see when Gable Steveson finally comes in. We heard he's on some big-ass payday or pay scale deal, whatever. He's getting a big check from WWE, even though he hasn't even debuted yet. So we talk about all these people that have been gone from WWE or still haven't debuted in WWE. Well, last week we saw Trish Stratus make her big return and get announced for WrestleMania. Trish will be working a 6-woman tag team match as she will be facing off against Damage Control, teaming with the tag team champions, and Becky and Becky and Lita. Well, it looks like this could actually all lead to Trish turning heel by SummerSlam, working a program with Becky Lynch. According to the Twitter account Worked Wrestling, they do state the following. The long-term plan as of this moment is that Trish Stratus will turn heel and work a program with Becky Lynch through SummerSlam. So it looks like Becky and Trish could be working a program at SummerSlam, as far as Becky being the babyface and Trish being the heel. That'd be an interesting one. We haven't seen a heel Trish Stratus in a very long time. Whenever I think of heel Trish Stratus, most of the time I think of her run with Christian in 2004, which was amazing. So yeah, we could be seeing more of that. I don't know about her. I wouldn't say her and Christian, but that heel. The heel Trish coming back. How she turns, how Lita's involved, what this all leads to, not sure. But I think it could be very interesting. Getting more Trish than just WrestleMania. And before we talk about the last 3-4 news stories we got to tell you that this show, well, it's also brought to you by Ultra Pro Wrestling, a new wrestling game which serves as a love letter to the classic wrestling games of the late 90s. Ultra Pro Wrestling is a sandbox game that encourages players to create/edit their own wrestling superstars, promotions, and events. Fight for the UPW Championship in ranked online matches and play through a multitude of match types in a deep and dynamic single-player career. Head over to Kickstarter.ultraprowrestling.com right now to check out and support the game. With that, check out the trailer.
Welcome to Ultra Pro Wrestling.
Again, head over to Kickstarter.ultraprowrestling.com to check out and support the game now. As we move forward onto our next news story, WWE's got a new episode of WWE 24 coming out soon. This one looks to all be set on last year's WrestleMania. But for the first time in nearly a year, WWE 24 is returning with a new episode. It was announced today that WWE 24's documentary series will premiere on Peacock/the WWE Network on Monday, March 27th. The documentary will focus on WrestleMania 38 and behind the scenes of that event. WrestleMania 38 took place at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas last April. Night 1 was headlined by Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to the ring for his first match in nearly 2 decades. After appearing on the KO show with Kevin Owens, Austin would defeat Owens in a no-holds-barred match. Night 2 was headlined by Roman Reigns defeating Brock Lesnar to unify the Universal Championship with the WWE Championship. Reigns has remained the Universal Champion since then and will defend against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39. WrestleMania 38 also featured the return to the company of Cody Rhodes, Logan Paul in his in-ring debut, and celebrity matches involving both Johnny Knoxville and Pat McAfee. Again, this will be the first new episode of WWE 24 since the documentary covering Royal Rumble 2022, which was released last April. So cool. I love these documentaries. I think the 24 documentaries are fantastic, but if they're going to bring anything back, they need to bring back WWE 365, where they follow a superstar for 365 days. Those are fantastic. I love them. I love those shows. We've gotten one on Bliss, Owens, maybe AJ? I can't remember exactly. But as we move forward, speaking of big shows for WWE, looks like they're working on getting together with the Australian government for a new big stadium show out there in Australia. In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer noted, and hold on, let's ban this person from the live chat. In the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer stated that the government of Western Australia is currently negotiating with WWE to run a major stadium show in that country. The report notes that the deal could be similar to the deal that WWE made with Melbourne back in 2018. Meltzer also states that the event will likely be held in Perth, which has held events like UFC 284 back in February. The event was held in the RAC Arena, which holds about 15,000 fans. Now, that to me doesn't sound like a stadium. It sounds like an arena show. WWE has not visited the country of Australia since 2019. As previously noted, WWE did host Super Showdown in Melbourne, Australia, back in October of 2018. The event was held in the Melbourne Cricket Grounds and had an attendance announced of 70,309 people. So with that, WWE is looking to go back to Australia, but not just to run a live event, not just to run a small little danky tour, but to run a big stadium show, possibly in Perth, Australia. That'd be fun. It'd be a fun one. Do more of these international shows. Hey, let's do it in September. If WWE is going to get on their high horse of doing big international shows the day before AEW shows, then do it in September. Because we're seeing that with King and Queen of the Ring. Now, some have asked what's going on with John Cena on the road to WrestleMania. He's got that match set up with Austin Theory, but how often is he going to be on Raw over the next couple of weeks? And we got a little bit of an update on that as well. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter, he states that since Cena has finished taping the movie Ricky Stanicky back on March 4th, it means that Cena is actually available for television over the next couple of weeks. We know that Cena is already filming another movie in Atlanta called Grand Theft Lotto. But with that one being in the United States, it may give him a little more leeway to be on TV more often for the next couple of weeks leading into WrestleMania. No specific dates were mentioned as far as Cena being on television. So you would think that, hey, whatever his movie schedule right now with this Grand Theft Lotto movie is, if it'll permit it, he'll be there. Because Monday morning, he was in Atlanta filming Grand Theft Lotto and was in Boston Monday evening for Raw. So it's not like Cena can't do that again. It's not like Cena can't go film a few scenes and then pop up on Raw that same night. And finally, speaking of WrestleMania, we finally know of the first match set on a specific day of WrestleMania, as one match has, I guess you could say, been announced for night one. While speaking on his Impulsive podcast, Logan Paul, who will be facing Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, did state that he will be working night one of WrestleMania. Paul stated that his match with Rollins will be taking place on April 1st. This will notably coincide with Logan's 28th birthday, as Logan Paul's birthday is April 1st, so he will be wrestling on his birthday. Logan's friend Mike Majak pointed out on the podcast that Logan had some very unlucky birthdays in the past, so maybe his luck will change in this match against Rollins. This will be Logan Paul's first match since the Royal Rumble back in January. We've seen him a number of times on WWE television, last week on Raw, this past week on Raw, at the Elimination Chamber, and so forth. So, cool. This match is now set for night one if Logan Paul is correct in this and if nothing does change. But with that, guys, that's all we got for you. That is going to wrap up the wrap up. I do want to say thank you for joining me here. If you're watching live, twitch.tv/PW Unlimited or youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Remember, tonight is Friday Night SmackDown. We got 3 things so far announced for that show. So let's pull them up on the screen for you right here and double check if WWE has announced anything further. Doesn't look like it. It looks like this is all that's been announced. The WWE has announced 3 things for tonight's SmackDown. First off, they do confirm that Jey Uso will be on the show, as well as Roman Reigns. As far as action does go, we have a 5-way to crown the new number 1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship, as it is Xavier Woods, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross, and LA Knight. And finally, in tag team action, Braun Strowman and Ricochet will be taking on the Viking Raiders. So with that, that is all what is announced for tonight's Friday Night SmackDown. With that, guys, we'll see you back here tonight for Friday Night SmackDown. And then, have a great weekend. If I don't see you tonight, have a great weekend. I'll be out of town all weekend doing some family stuff. So, we'll see you back here. If I don't see you tonight for Raw or to SmackDown, we'll see you Monday. Most likely for the wrestling wrap-up. But there might not be a Monday wrap-up because we might have a different special stream instead. Keep an eye out right here. Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, I do want to let you guys know that starting Monday, we will have a bunch of coverage of WWE 2K23 going up on the channel, as that game does drop on the 14th, Tuesday the 14th, if you did pre-order the Deluxe or Icon Edition. We will be also giving away a copy of the game as well. Keep it locked to Pro Wrestling Unlimited for more details on our coverage of WWE 2K23 coming up next week. Have a good one, guys.